Hello and welcome back to Sqreen Squad versus xGame KZ as we jump into the game 2. As far as game 1 is concerned, I think the real MVPs, despite seeing a really stacked sniper on ZXC, were Slander as well as Sqreen. Their early roams really paid off, starting off with the first blood onto Reeves and then rotating into kills everywhere. The Shadow Demon Mirana combo paid off in droves for them. And even though I would say that their lineup was a little bit less stable, they were able to snowball to victory very well. So props to Sqreen Squad. Let's see if they're going to be able to come back and or do this again in game 2 and make it a 2-0 series in their favor. As far as xGame, they're going to get their hands on some pretty scary heroes to start us off in the form of the Brewmaster as well as the Death Prophet. A lot of pushing power coming out from those two. Still, both teams are sticking close to the meta with Scarlet Mage Brewmaster the first two for Sqreen Squad. No big surprises there, but Faceless Void is not going to be available this time, and, well, although I'm pretty heartbroken to say it, Tusk has also been banned out, and we're not going to see that coming out from Sqreen Squad. I would have loved to see the Tusk get through, but alas, 'tis not so, as it's just going to be some pretty plain Jane vanilla 6.81 Dota. Yep, hoping for the next patch pretty soon, but there's a lot of teams out there that are really fun to watch, especially in the tier 2 scene. In particular, I don't know, Balkan Bears Corleone are really fun to watch draft and play. They play just so aggressively, as well as the House is Down, lots of really good teams. But we're in Sqreen Squad next game, so enough about that. This is the next stage of bans is going to go through. Batrider and Clockwork being banned out by Sqreen Squad. A lot of offlaners pretty much setting up for this Tinker pick. Both heroes are very good at catching him out inside the trees, and then getting the pick off on him subsequently, with their Blink Dagger on the Batrider as well as the hookshot of Tinker. It definitely makes sense, and on the side of xGame, they'll ban out the Viper as well as a tree. Not sure if that tree ban's worth it. I'd much rather play up against a tree than a Tinker, especially with the Death Prophet on my team. But Mirana going to pick up for xGame KZ, probably going to see another Shadow Demon this game, and well, their xGame KZ support's going to be able to have the same impact that Slander as well as Sqreen were in game 1. It'll still yet to be seen. I'm going to expect that this is a support Mirana. I don't know, but if they don't use this Mirana as a support, they'll have to get very aggressive with her early on to shut down this Tinker, because Sqreen Squad, they've set themselves up for a very scary draft, and now with the Wraith King, they're going to be able to pull a lot of attention away from this Tinker, and if you leave the Tinker alone for just 10 minutes or so, he's going to come back and kick your butt later on. You need to shut him down early, block his camps, shut down those Ancients, make sure he doesn't get those farms. I think when you're playing up against a dire Tinker, drop at least one ward on the Ancients, probably an Observer ward to be honest. Drop your other one for Rune Vision, and then your other camp that you need to ward is the big camp over by the Mega Cliff over there in the dire jungle. That's the one that Tinker is going to be focusing on, and if you shut down those two spots for the Tinker as well as kill him early on, it's going to be very easy to deal with him if he's not able to get up his early items in the forms of the Boots of Travel as well as the Blink Dagger Soul Ring. So, xGame KZ, they do go for that Shadow Demon. I am going to expect that this is going to be the supporting duo, although with another stunning support, they definitely could make this work as an offensive tri-lane and then roam the two heroes off of it. Ideally, you'd have a Wraith King in that tri-lane, so you could afford to roam the Mirana off of the lane with the Shadow Demon to get kills on the Tinker. But they have a plethora of heroes that also could work well with that. Honestly, I'm not opposed to seeing a Kunkka from them. It would allow them to be very aggressive, have another stun to follow up after the Shadow Demon disruption into arrow combination, as well as just having another combination with the Shadow Demon, being able to set up kills that way. I think it could be pretty solid. Usually the problem with Shadow Demon is whether or not he'll be able to set up kills in lanes, and as far as it stands, Death Prophet and Razor, one of the weaker heroes up with that Shadow Demon, is they don't have any good lockdown in the form of a stun. They have a silence on Death Prophet, which is nice, as well as the link on Razor, which is decent. But it's nothing compared to like a Lishrak stun or Lena stun or something that needs that setup. The next band's coming out from his Sqreen Squad. Not sure what they're going to pick with their last hero. I think they have both of their supports and they're looking for their last core, presumably towards their off lane. Tidehunter would be solid for them. Although that might be an offlane Brewmaster, or they could go aggressive. They have a lot of different ways that they could play this. Shadow Shaman's still in the pool, surprisingly. And Sqreen Squad might end up picking that one up for themselves and have the Wraith King as the farming core in their try. One more ban comes out from Sqreen Squad very shortly. It will be the Tidehunter ban, so they're not going to be going for that, and I'm going to expect that this is going to be a Shadow Shaman pick for them. I don't see a compelling reason why not to go for it, although they have many options for them, so I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't either. Sqreen Squad they're getting some really good trades off in the draft, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on this Mirana and Shadow Demon to get kills early. Because if they don't, despite having a Death Prophet and Razor, I'm not sure they're going to be able to get up to the towers fast enough in order to get the kills. They have good ways of killing the Razor as well as the Death Prophet, and focus him down with the Scarlet Mage as well as Wraith King and Brewmaster, and Tinker could just get out of hand this game. It's a lot closer draft than last game, but then again, last game I thought that
Reserve time.
Sqreen Squad draft was a little bit weaker, and they pulled out the wins. So on even footing, I think that Sqreen Squad might do very well. And whoa, daddy, we have a Warlock coming out from Sqreen Squad. I think what's going to happen this game is we're going to have a safe lane Tinker, which I am actually quite a big fan of on the Dire side. He has a little bit better time than on the mid because he's not able to get those stacks. I think we're going to have a mid lane Warlock and then an aggressive tri-lane with the Brewmaster at the core of that one. And then they'll roam the Scarlet Mage as well as the Wraith King to help support the Tinker as well. The Tinker could also just be the core of the tri-lane. They'll start those lanes out, but I don't know, I'm digging this Warlock pick. It's a hero that really fell off, but I think he's super strong at the moment, with Upheaval being a ridiculous slow, especially for heroes that want to get up in your face with their extra movement speed like Razor and Death Prophet. And they don't have the best ways to deal with it. I think it's going to work out, but Silencer comes out. It's going to be annoying for the Tinker to deal with, especially, as well as the Warlock being able to delay those columns. But once the Rock drops, Warlock is going to be an absolute menace to deal with. I'm excited to see the draft coming out from a Sqreen Squad, and, well, it's going to be a game all about the supports. Sqreen as well as Slander are going to be playing the Wraith King and Scarlet Mage, and I think this is going to be a core Warlock. I think that's the best way to play him, honestly. He sustains very well in the mid lane, gets the levels that he desperately needs, and then is able to get into the Aghanim Scepter and Refresher very easily. As a support, he offers some sustain, but that's about all he does. Well, as we start out this game, we'll introduce both of the teams as we have xGame KZ playing on the Radiant side, with Reeves taking up the Razor, a little bit of change of pace as he was playing the Scarlet Mage last game, Mantis on the Silencer, Whatafaka on the Death Prophet, Stallcat on the Mirana, and Kot playing on the Shadow Demon. Yeah, very interesting. So Reeves is going to be soloing up the bottom lane with a tri-lane with a Silencer. Ew, not a huge fan of that one. The Silencer really needs his levels. They need to get kills with this Shadow Demon Mirana, and they can't leave him, ever. This Tinker is going to be very happy that they chose this laning situation. Tinker's actually going to be going down towards the bottom lane with support. This is also another solid laning choice for the Dire team that I didn't actually consider, but he'll have access to the Ancients as well as potentially assuming that xGame are going to go aggressive with the Mirana Shadow Demon. The supports can stack up his Ancients for him, and then he'll be able to farm those very quickly. If this goes left unchecked, ZXC is going to completely explode this game in farm. His starting items look like he's going towards mid. But so do the Warlocks, and it's not bad to get the Null Talisman by any means. His base damage isn't the best, and he'll be able to hit those creeps very well. We have a lot of drawing on the map coming out from the Silencer, as well as from the Wraith King. Drawing lines on the enemy map. I think they know that some wards are going down, or maybe somebody's going to be walking up here. For now, the Silencer as well as Shadow Demon Mirana are going to be looking for this level or 0 minute room, but it's going to spawn bottom, unfortunately. Last game, that was what set up the first blood, and they'll try to replicate that to no successes. Stallcat as well as Kot are not going to catch anybody out. Shadow Demon this game did not go for the boots first, so getting in range for the disruption is going to be a little bit more difficult. With only 295 movement speed, it's not the best, although the range and disruption is not shabby by any means. If they catch out Afterlife with the arrow combo, he'll definitely die, and Afterlife's not going to have a great time in this lane, although should be able to get some decent experience while juking around the arrows. 1v1 Razor versus Tinker. It's a fairly even matchup, actually, and as long as the supports don't do anything, Razor's going to be happy, but Sqreen and Slander are down here, and they have vision of him, so they should know that he has a ward there, and potentially are going to de-ward that. Although with no sentries on either of their heroes, they won't be able to do so, and they'll just have to know the fact that Razor knows he's there, but he's going to walk up for the CS. A greedy little monkey there as Reeves is going to get tagged by the Wraithfire Blast, and I think the right clicks are going to be enough. The laser from downtown, ZXC picks himself up the first blood, and that is the worst case scenario for xGame. Reeves, clicking on the side shop there is ZXC picking up the first blood is the hero that you don't want to have a good start, and giving a first blood to a Tinker is absolutely the worst. Reeves is not gonna be happy about that. It's a wrapping around on the Afterlife. They might start it with the disruption, but the creeps are there. I'm not sure they're gonna be able to get a good angle on that arrow. Eventually they might go for it, but he's standing at a pretty good spot. There they go with the disruption. Stallcat trying to look for the arrow. It is going to not land up on the Afterlife, and Afterlife's just gonna be able to swagger himself out of there. and eat a tango. He'll be just fine, and oh, Skywrath Mage is going to be the one to get the kill on mid. The Death Prophet going to fall to the Warlock as well as the Skywrath Mage, although not the best killing lane. That heal can do some serious damage, and I am loving this build coming out from Nubik. Last couple of times I saw Warlock, they avoided the point into Upheaval. I love seeing it maxed out, either first or as a secondary max after your Shadow Word. It's just so strong. Like, I don't even know. The range on it's ridiculous, and you could probably cast it very easily onto Wadafaka across the lane, and that's 2 lanes going very well for Sqreen squad. And the trade xGame are getting isn't that great. It's a silencer that's getting okay farm. He's not even CSing that well and hasn't been involved in any kills. He's not doing bad by any means, but it's not going to stack up to what the Tinker's impact in this game, as well as the Warlock is going to be able to do. These ultimates coming out from the silencer are going to have to be incredibly good coming out from Mantis in order to actually warrant the pick of the silencer. Yeah, as the whole Mirana gets caught out over towards the left side of the mid lane. Wraithfire Blast into the nuke coming out from the Warlock. No upheaval necessary, as the damage is too much for that squishy support Mirana to do anything. 473 HP is just chewed through so quickly. Caught is now without his Mirana buddy, and that's 3 kills going the way of Sqreen squad. It's not pretty. What xGame need to do is they need to try to put some pressure on this Tinker, because leaving the Razor down solo alone is not going to do anything. Razor's going to pick up some CS where he can, and he's going to be able to get some good experience, fine. I don't think it's going to be enough. They need this Tinker to stop farming. His Ancients aren't stacked, which is a little bit unfortunate for him, as Wraith King has been roaming around to get caught up by the disruption into the arrow. It's going to be missed, and Sqreen's going to be able to make a turn on the caught with follow-up Thunderclap coming out. It's level 2, and the right clicks are going to be enough. They might lose Sqreen here, or will they? The right click damage is going to be enough. The Glaives of Wisdom are not going to do it. Now the Mirana is going to be turned on by Afterlife. Unfortunately, he doesn't have enough mana for Thunderclap. He has 7 stick charges and might be able to make a turn here, actually. Yeah, Wraith King surviving 4-0 in the favor of Sqreen squad. This supporting duo is just looking so lackluster compared to the Mirana Shadow Demon combo we saw last game. They've gone for the kills, but they are currently 0-1 apiece, which is not what you want to have happen. Mirana as a support needs to land those arrows, or your game impact is not there at all. Yeah, pings down in bottom as Tinker's just farming away. It's not the best farm I've ever seen on a Tinker, but he's well off to a good start. I'd like to see Skywrath Mage maybe drop a couple more. Oh, this D-ward onto that Observer, so it's still going to be there. He might drop another Sentry around here, but eventually won't go for it. Yeah, Skywrath Mage, I'd like to see him stacking up those Ancients, since the Tinker can handle the Razor alone, at least for those couple of seconds while you go and do that. And with 3 points up in the March, I think it's definitely a worthy investment. But Tinker might just go ahead and get the Boots of Travel first before the Soul Ring is in mid. They might be fishing for an arrow on Warlock. If they catch him out with the arrow, it could be huge. Warlock, let's see. I think he went for 1 point into stats, actually. Yeah. It's okay. He'll have plenty of levels to make up for that later, but I think the extra point in Upheaval would be nice. Up top, we might have a go here as Afterlife. He's going to not be tagged by an arrow, so melee creep is going to soak that one up. And Mirana, she's hit a couple, but they're just not as polished with this combo. She's not able to start out with the disruption, and the timing's just not perfect. Down in bottom, they're going to go on to Reeves. He's going to be stunned up, trying to run away. He's got the Eye of the Storm, but it's not going to be enough to save him. Although Sqreen needs to be careful. He's giving a lot of damage away. The secondary Wraithfire Blast is going to come. And, well, despite him not right-clicking at all, ZXC is going to be able to do enough damage. And with the bottle, as well as the components for the Soul Ring coming down, he'll be just fine and sustain through this lane. Skywrath Mage picks himself up a smoke. And, well, as soon as Wraith King gets himself a little bit more mana and health, the roaming coming out from these two is going to be devastating. Mirana's potentially looking for an arrow pick-off, and if she finds a Skywrath Mage, maybe that'd be okay. The Tinker's low, but not for long. The Flying Courier comes out with his bottle. Skywrath Mage is going to back off towards his Ancients, which are stacked up once. Oh, please, Slander, please. Never mind, he's not going to stack those up for a third time. I think he just missed his timing window. That's the perfect time in order to do so. Actually, ooh, we're going to have an arrow onto ZXE. It's going to land. Will he be able to commit to this? No. Long arrow, he's just going to stand there awkwardly. Whose Hand of Midas is that? That is Nubix on the Warlock. Definitely a solid choice. As well, Soul Ring going to be used by the Tinker to farm up these Ancients from the side of the lane. Definitely something he can do, but he needs to be careful. One Plasma Field would spell his demise. He'll be forced back to base after doing this, and very greedy, but he'll be able to get the farm there. Unfortunate that it wasn't stacked another time. A little bit of misplay coming out from the Skywrath Mage, but it's definitely warranted. It's up in top. They're going to try to get a kill, and I think they're going to be able to do so. They have a defensive disruption, but the Silencer is just way too out far. The Shadow Demon's going to get that first kill. Now Mantis trying to TP out. No way to cancel out, unfortunately for them. They went for the weaker target, but still, coming out another kill. Richard 0-6 in the favor of Sqreen squad. Now with a Midas on their Warlock, who just died, actually. He dropped the rock into mid, but one more Cryptstorm for the Death Prophet was enough. Not the greatest time to die, although, yeah, not going to be able to use that Midas before he died. So quite possibly the worst time, actually. Going to delay his effective Midas timing for a minute. And yeah, Midas on Warlock is really nice to get those extra levels. Will allow him to make up for that point into stats earlier on, as well as get up an earlier Ags Refresher. That's really the two items you want for this Warlock, and although some may think of him as a support, he can carry so hard when he has the double rock to drop, especially if you don't have a Diffusal Blade on the enemy team, and even with 3 Golems still wrecks house almost as much as the 4th does, and you're forcing him to buy a 3,300 gold item to counter a quarter of your effective usage of your ultimate. It's just not enough. The Sqreen's wrapping around onto Mantis. They don't get close enough, and he'll be spotted out by the Silencer, and we'll just force the Silencer back, and Mantis has to play so aggressively because of this, so even though they don't get a kill there, it might be enough as the D-Ward battle is going to come through. The Courier is actually flying very awkwardly in, giving the Skywrath Mage some of his items. I believe that was spotted out, so they might know the Skywrath Mage is inbound, and Silencer potentially going to look for him. Nobody's going to find him out. They don't get the disruption. They leap forward looking for an arrow potentially, but they're not going to be able to get in range. And now a Sqreen here. They'll start with the disruption on him. They go for the arrow. With 4 enemy heroes, this should be a fairly easy kill on the Sqreen, but they silence up Wadafaka. It looks like Sqreen will fall sooner rather than later. Shouting picks up that kill. A little bit more intelligence for Mantis. In fact, only 2, as Slander's going to eat one more Cryptstorm, and the right click of the range creep will be enough. He's 10 damage, one more from the Death Prophet, not going to miss uphill, and Wadafaka picks up that kill with the maxed out Witchcraft as well as the Phase Boots, not really running away from that one. Boots online for the Death Prophet. She won't lose that much mana either. xGame striking back, although the early advantage definitely in the favor of Sqreen squad. Although, at about this time, last game, it was similar advantage, as they haven't been able to maintain it as well after the last couple of kills. But Tinker is going to have an absurdly timed Boots of Travel as well as Slurring. Not absurdly, but 9 minutes in, it's where you want your Tinker to be, I should say. In a non-contested game, 9 minutes in is what you want. So, after this one more stack, he will be able to clean that up. Although I've harped on it before, had the Skywrath Mage stacked those up before, he would have had his Boots of Travel already. But the stack should succeed from the Tinker, and after going for that stack, he might just go for the aggressive move onto the Razors. The supports are smoked up, and Reeves is looking like a pretty juicy target. Start with a Concussive Shot, get in range for the Wraithfire Blast, and who are they actually going to find? They're wrapping around the supports. They're going to run straight into Stalkat, and he's going to be silenced up immediately. Defensive Disruption will come out as well as the silence, but it's a little bit delayed, and now Stalkat might be in a little bit of trouble. The Tinker's coming in. This might just give them the kill to the bigger target, but no, Skywrath Mage is going to pick that one up. The Plasma Field comes out, does some decent damage. He's actually sent from Logan. Wadafaka doing some decent work to Sqreen, as well as ZXC is being chased down by the Razors. This is a huge goal if they can get it, because he doesn't have his Boots of Travel just yet. They get the Death Prophet on the backlines with a Warlock ultimate, but they do kill the Tinker. So despite being a 2-for-1 trade, xGame are going to be happy with that, but still. Ooh. Oh my goodness. That's the effectiveness of the Warlock coming out there, as the Golem is really scary. He's going to back off and not go for upheaval. I think 2 points at least. Please, it just scales so well after the second point. For now, they're going to go into the Roshan pit. They don't have the Warlock Golem there anymore. I think it's timed out. He was just farming a couple of camps with that. But after Tinker clears up this large creep camp, he'll definitely have his Boots of Travel. So although it's delayed for a minute, it's not going to delay enough as they go into mid. They're going to stun up as well as the Shadow Ward thrown the way of Reeves. But I think Reeves is just fine. The Death Prophet's diving really deep. What are you doing? Now the upheaval under tower, it's not going to slow her down that much, but the Concussive Shot sure will. Will they be able to chase her down? No, they won't. Especially not with the disruption coming out from the Shadow Demon. So despite a really deep dive, it won't amount to much, as Razor is really low, going down towards bottom lane as Tinker farms up the Ancients. So the complete Boots of Travel is, well, is about a quarter of a way towards his Blink Dagger. And this Tinker is going to get very scary. Their Hand of Midas on the Warlock is starting to pay off as the point booster comes online towards his Aghanim Scepter. And once he gets his level 11, as well as Ags, these are going to sting, and I don't think they're going to find a good fight. Is up in top. They'll throw a couple of spells away of Afterlife, and he won't be able to get his ultimate off just yet, but with the Wraith King back up, they won't be able to go. Yeah, this Mirana as well as Shadow Demon still not doing it for me. As the Boots of Travel are delivered to the Tinker. They're going for a smoke up rotation, trying to catch somebody out. They have the Silencer as well. He wants to stack up his intelligence, which is currently only bolstered by 2 from the kills that they've gotten. He's going to go straight into the Aghanim Scepter refresher build, which is going to be nice at delaying the impact of Sqreen squad teamfight, and Warlock looks like Nubik is dead. Or will he? He's playing defensively on the right side of his map, and Although they don't see anybody, that's one of the big risks. Mirana might be able to get a nice potshot arrow from behind the lines, and Warlock is just fine for now, although they're looking for the wraparound arrow to fly. Not going to land on Nubik, and Nubik, not even sure if he saw that arrow. I think he's going to be just fine and dandy, especially with the backup from Slander. In the meantime, up top, Wraith King as well as Brewmaster, they're not the fastest pushes in the world, but they'll be able to put some damage on this tier 1 tower once the glyph subsides, and now they're going to commit very heavily up there as the Tinker's firing up some more of his Ancients, and yeah, going to be able to go straight down towards bottom as our next fight might break out on top if the arrow lands, but they're going to start with the Wraith King Fire Blast onto Stallcat. They have the clap. No split thrown out just yet. The last word was a little too late onto Afterlife. The Mirana is not going to die, or will she? She's not going to burn down from the Wraith Fire Blast arrow to fly. Not going to land on the screen. His screen's coming back in. He does not have enough mana for his ultimate. There you go with the magic wand charges. Now he's just going to dive on the tower and give the slow to both of the heroes. He's just going to end up giving his life up for Mantis. Definitely a worthy trade. Now the split comes out and another Wraith Fire Blast in the cut. Not even sure if they need the Brewmaster split there as the Tinker comes in to join the battle. Double kill for Afterlife. And I don't know, despite being a very awkward play or something you don't see very often, I love it coming out from Sqreen, just sacrificing himself to the tower to get that slow. It worked out. Warlock in mid farming away, now getting ever closer to his Aghanim Scepter, and Sqreen squad, they're losing a Brewmaster up on top as the Exorcism will be enough damage with the help of Reeves. The last auto attack ending this killing spree of the Brewmaster. He does not have his Blink Dagger, as yet again we are going to see the Arcane Boots first. Still okay, but is going to delay his effectiveness with only level 1 Exorcism, as well as, or actually that might be level 2, I think that's only level 1 with maxed out Witchcraft. Unfortunate that she used that before the fight engaged. Now with ZXC dropping down a couple marches onto the ground, I don't think they'll be able to push into this tier 1 tower up and top. I'm not sure how xGame are actually going to be able to combat this Tinker. Nobody on their team is going to be building a pipe. In fact, I wouldn't mind the Razor building it. To be honest, they just need a way in order to push high ground up against the Tinker quickly. They don't have it. They don't have it. Tinker is halfway towards his boots of travel. We'll have those probably about 15 minutes, following the pretty standard build path for your Tinker. And once he gets his Dagon online, Shadow Demon as well as Mirana and Silencer are not going to stand a chance to his barrage of damage. Sqreen squad, they can just play pretty patiently. Once they get those big core items online, they can 5-man down the towers so easily. It's really the pressure on xGame. They have a mechanism on Reeves, but they haven't been able to 5-man down the towers with it. Exorcism is level 2 now, as well as the Yule Scepter on Wadafaka, but they haven't been able to get the uptime onto those tier 1s as well. They haven't even been able to take a single one, although a little bit of chip damage onto all of them. Stallcat as well as Wadafaka and Kod are going to meet up, although not smoking up. They're pinging out, potentially looking for the Tinker. They'll throw out an arrow, maybe. They think he's there. They walk up towards the high ground and don't get anything. They drop a ward up there, which is a nice ward for catching at the Tinker when he farms up those Ancients, but they're not stacked right now. And ZXC probably not going to go for them for quite some time. It's just the passive game is up on top. The passivity is going to wear off as the ultimate comes out from the Silencer. It's going to delay things for now, but Afterlife has his ultimate, and with the Tinker, or actually not for 5 seconds, they drop the rock onto everybody. No, just Reeves, as everybody is too far back, and they'll be able to blow him up with Scarlet Mage ulti as well. The two supports, or rather the Warlock as well as Scarlet Mage, will be bursted down by the Cryptstorms as well as the Exorcism. The Warlock Golem is not surviving very well up against the Exorcism, but she's way too deep. What the fuck is going to be smacked down by the Warlock Golem, and they're still ready to fight. 2 for 2 is the trade. 2 cores for 1 support and a core, and now they're looking for more. They're going to be able to throw up the Silencer up in the air, purge him down. Not going to be necessary as they TP onto the Golem coming out from the Tinker. I love the synergy coming out from them, and now with the burst damage coming out from those two, it looks like Stallcat as well as the Death Prophet are going to die. They get defensive disruption onto Mantis, but Mantis, is he going to fall? I don't think he's going to survive. The March of Machines, it's almost going to be enough. He gets his Blink Dagger at the side shot, but the Tinker's not going to be able to get that kill. Unfortunate, I should think they should have committed for the Silencer kill. Much better than getting the easy one on the Mirana. ZXC TPing back to base. He had enough mana to do quite a bit, but I think he bought his Blink Dagger over at the side shop, so not sure what that was entirely about, as he just comes back into the fray. They're going to commit to this tier 1 tower, and without the Golem, it is going to be a little bit delayed. Sqreen squad are still looking strong, however. Death Prophet holds a lot of the hopes coming out from xGame, as she's really the one they need to keep alive. Even when she's disrupted up, she can still do damage, and then she'll also have the Yule, so that's a lot of guaranteed time that she can spend using those Exorcism Spirits, even if she's not directly in the fight. But they need to get those defensive spells onto her before she walks headlong into the rest of the enemy team. Shadow Demon was way too far back in order to offer that support, and Death Prophet, she just died. There is going to be a cancel on his rearm, which is annoying for ZXC, but he'll be able to redo that again pretty quickly. As the Silence wears off, it is fairly low leveled, I believe, only level 2. Yeah, so 4 seconds, although going to annoy the Tinker, not going to be that much as they go back up top behind the tower. Mantis is man fighting up against Sqreen here. Does not have his ultimate for another 10 seconds, and with the other arrow, it looks like he's going to die for real this time. The tier 1 tower also not being focused down as the Brewmaster has backed off. Blink down to the low ground. He'll be fine, but unfortunate timing for Sqreen. Tinker is going to keep on the pressure. But it's a solid kill. Silencer gets a deny on the tower up and top, which is going to be a little bit of an economic damage for Sqreen squad. It's going to be nice, although they're still maintaining a lead despite having that tower denied. The lead is about 5,000 now in the gold department. Experience not looking too great, but after the graphs update, it'll probably be around 2,500. So it's still looking pretty solid as the net worth is dominated by the Warlock as well as the Tinker. The two heroes that xGame really needed to shut down a little bit more. Tinker, well on his way towards his Dagon. He'll have his Mystic Staff completed at the base, should he want to do so. And once he has that Dagon, that's when he really begins to get scary, especially once he picks up his level 13 with the maxed out laser as well as rockets. They have the Warlock Golems available, but no Aghanim Scepter, only one more creep away for that, so Nubik will probably just purchase that up and then send it out to himself, and now it's pushing time for Sqreen squad. They've had enough of the passive game. They'll let Tinker push out the side lanes while the rest of the heroes commit down towards mid. They probably don't want to drop it until the contest comes out. But they're looking for him. Ronald ultimate comes out from xGame. They might be able to catch out Wraith King, but this time he has his ultimate. Not the best target to go on, but they might decide to go to it. They get a little bit of damage stolen. That's only 14. It's only level 1 static current or static link, so Ronald ultimate shown for nothing as Sqreen might just swagger up to the high ground. They get the Midas, and now they should drop the rock pretty soon. It is canceled by the Silencer ultimate. Good timing coming out from them. Sqreen's going to focus down with the ultimate. It's just going to slow everyone down. Now the rock comes through, and Wadafaki is going to be slowed. It gets Scarlet Mage ultimate. It's just going to be delayed by the Eul Scepter, but a couple more smacks from Golems as well as rockets from the Tinker. They'll be able to get those kills. And now behind the tower, Kod is just being ripped to shreds by Golems. They change focus onto Reeves, and Reeves is also going to die. And although the upheaval is not doing that much since it is only level 1, it's still enough to just keep everybody zoned out. And Mantis jumps back in. Mantis is so dead. The boulder comes out from the Brewmaster, and now the Warlock Golems also going to cleave him down. 17-8 our kill score, and Sqreen squad are pretty much unstoppable when the Golems are on the down. They can't go for these kills, and now Stallcat probably gonna die. Brewmaster, TP into the Golem, and Tinker jumps in. Blink forward rockets, that's a dead Mirana. 4 for 0 is the trade. Wraith King only lost his ultimate there. A huge win for them, despite having that on cooldown for quite some time. It looks like they'll put some decent damage on the tier 2 on top. They delay this with a glyph. They still have 10 seconds before they can come back up, and before the entire team can actually respond, it'll be quite some more time, as the tier 2 tower is going to drop to about half health. The Golems are going to time out before they're actually able to do much more. The Immolation Aura annoys Cat, but Sqreen squad, I think they're going to be able to make a clean retreat. Warlock is the one that's lagging behind a little bit more, but after that fight now has 3 points up in the upheaval. His upheaval is going to be huge. The Eul Scepter comes out, they have the backup. They only have a disruption, and yeah, Death Prophet needs to be careful. There is backup in the form of a Slander as well as Afterlife, and they can't jump into that. Afterlife now has his Ogre Club presumably working towards his BKB to negate the silences coming out from Death Prophet and Silencer respectively. It'll be very useful. They'll have to time it very perfectly. It's not that hard. Just whenever Global comes out, BKB if you want ult.
Radiant's top tower is taking hits.
Yeah, it's scary. Death Prophet, she has her Vit booster towards her heart, and she'll be able to tank up on the front lines, but it's not enough. With a Tinker that's actually not going to go for a Dagon at all. Never mind. The tier 1 tower is going to be under heavy siege by the Exorcism level 11. They don't have Warlock Golems for another 50 seconds, and that'll be the opening. The xGame we're looking for to get a little bit of an advantage. Are they going to be able to catch anybody out as well? Sqreen, throw up in the air. He's purged down. No ultimate for another 137 seconds. He's trying to throw out a stun before he dies, but it is going to be a tower and a kill going the way of xGame. The rest of the team is not there to back him up, and it's unfortunate for Sqreen that he was caught out there. So xGame are finding a little bit of room to wriggle with. Yeah, and especially since Tinker is going towards that Scythe of Vice as his next item, presumably, with that Ultimate Orb. He will also not have the greatest time in this game as far as bursting down single targets. The Axe is going to be useful, and just feeling like they have enough damage with Brewmaster as well as Warlock, which is not a bad assessment by any means. But I think the Dagon just offers a little bit too much to pass up. Tinker is going to find himself his little nook over by the side, farm himself up a completed Ancient Sack, and then go back to base. He's getting very close to the Scythe, and despite not having it just yet, it's going to be a very good timing in order to do so. Reeves as well as Wadafaka sitting down in the bottom lane. We'll be able to counter push this with a Crypt Storm as well as a Plasma Field if they even need to. They will show both of them in the lane, and there you go. Crypt Storm to secure all of those last hits for the Death Prophet. Our farm isn't looking shabby, but it's not enough. This Silencer, pick really isn't doing it for me. He needs to have a bigger impact. His silences have been nice. They've been at really good times, actually. Like, props to Mantis for getting that timing off, but I think his hero isn't designed to fight up against what Sqreen Squad have. They need a good way to catch out the Tinker, and they just don't have it. They have okay ways to get vision with the Shadow Demon as well as the Razor, throwing at Plasma Field and Shadow Poison, as well as the Arrow to get the Disable onto him. It's not enough. Warlock is going to forgo going for the Refresher just yet. He wouldn't have a lot of mana to utilize both of them, but eventually we'll probably see that pick coming out from Nubik. It is going to be a Blink Dagger, so his positioning, he can stay actually like a screen and a half away from the actual team fight, as the range on Golem is really ridiculous, as is the range on Upheaval. Oh, excuse me, wrong spell. But yeah, Upheaval, if you just look at how far away he can stand, you can pretty much multiply the Upheaval range by 2, and that's the positioning he needs to be in. Since the radius of Upheaval as well as the Blink Dagger. Just blink in, drop your rock on the back lines, and Nubik should be completely safe. Even if he's silenced out, he's not going to be able to get caught out. They don't have a good way to initiate these team fights, which is really the problem that xGame are looking at right now. They have disruption into Arrow, but that's falling off so hard, and now we have a sub 23 minute Scythe of Vice on our Tinker. Even though his damage isn't going to be that great, the instant hex as well as the follow-up hexes are just going to be so amazing when you have the Warlock Golems right-clicking. And they're going to be able to 5-man down this tier 2. They have the Golem. Although I'm not a huge fan of Nubik's position here, they're not defending, so he can afford to stand this far up in the front lines. The Exorcism is going to give them the trade up in top, but Tinker, or rather Wraith King, is coming in. They need something more. Tinker's not TPing in, and, well, it looks like Sqreen's just going to waste his TP. His tier 2 tower down in bottom lane, it's just going to be a straight-up trade without any big engagement. Silencer, oh, Silencer. Gets caught up by ZXC in the mid lane. TP in, he's going to get the laser rockets. They won't get the tier 2 tower because Tinker wasn't able to drop those extra marches, but still, Silencer caught out. That's a pretty large window for them to fight inside of, as that's 30 seconds without the global ulti. And though they don't know it, no buyback as well. And with the Brewmaster, he's going to get tagged by an arrow. Really, no, going to be nicely juked by Afterlife. The Link is going to steal literally nothing, as Razor, only level 1 static Link. It wouldn't even hurt the Brewmaster that much to lose the 7 damage. Although we would prefer to hold on to it, obviously. It's not going to do much. Despite not the most aggressive playstyle coming out from his Sqreen Squad, we're still looking at a decent kills per minute. At above 1, it's fairly action-packed, but it's isolated inside the team fights. I'd like to see Sqreen Squad look for more pickoffs. I don't know, Nubik's being very conservative with his usage of ultimate. If they just committed to a tower, that tower is going to die. They might want to save it for mid, and at this point they might just want to straight up push mid before going for that. Tinker continues his split push mission up in the top lane, and this is how the game is going to go. Tinker can do this if they're behind, he can do this if they're ahead, and he's not going to miss anything down in the team fights in bottom if he boots and travels in, and now they're going to commit fully to this tier 2 tower, and xGame, they don't have anybody. Tinker is just so aggressively able to blink in. He'll probably drop a march. He's going to be forced to cancel that one as the arrow lands on Nubik. Unfortunately, the Wraithfire Blast is, however, not as he gets a triple thunderclap, but the canceled ultimate coming out from the silence. Sqreen is going to lose his reincarnation here on the backlines. They're completely zoned out. Slander's going to die to the tower. One more auto attack is going to do it, and they might have overextended a little bit. They haven't dropped a rock just yet. The tier 2 tower isn't going to die. Eul Scepter onto the Wraith, or Warlock, but there goes the rock onto Reeves. He doesn't drop the excuse me, Link early enough, but the Upheaval is completely zoning him out. He's under tower, but not for long, as now the Death Prophet might be in a bit of a sticky situation. She's running away, now Eul's up in the air by the Ruling, and I think she's going to die with the Tinker coming into those Warlock arms. There is not a chance in hell that she's getting out of there. As the Scythe of Ice coming out, as well as the rockets and the laser. Death Prophet caught out. I'm loving to see this Warlock plus Tinker combination. It's not one that comes to mind immediately. Usually Brewmaster, or Beastmaster, excuse me, is the best one as far as the global presence coming out from the Tinker, but whenever these Warlock Golems are chasing you, you need to run, because not only do you have 2 scary Warlock Golems that are pummeling you to death, you're going to have a Tinker jumping in to laser rocket you, blow you up, and turn you into a pig. It's not pretty. He'll have a completed Dagon if he wants it. This is so scary. At 25 minutes in, you're looking at a farm that Tinkers would be happy to have at 30 minutes in. He's farming like an absolute madman, top of the last hit charts, as well as 5-1 and 11. His KDA is looking pretty solid. Yeah, it's probably another time to check out the difference in gold as they're going into the Roshan pit, as a difference in gold 12,000 in the favor of Sqreen Squad. Experience also similar. These graphs, although it started out not as dominating as I might have thought with the kill score that was going their way, Sqreen Squad have been able to propel themselves to victory once they got those early items up, and now Warlock thinking about his Refresher. I have never seen a Warlock with Refresher lose a game, and I don't think that this one will be an exception, although the power of 322 is real. If they completely throw their bodies into the entirety of xGame and then lose a couple of their tier 3 towers with Exorcism, there is still a little bit of a window coming out from xGame, but they don't have the hope of a big 5-man RP coming out from a Magnus. Aegis is on the ground, not sure who's going to pick that one up. It's being pinged by Afterlife. I don't know, just give that one to the Tinker, although he's pretty slot deprived. He's going to sell his Null Talisman. I don't like that choice, but yeah, whatever. It's going to cost him a net of about 300 gold, which is not insignificant. It's one of those big ancient creeps, if he does decide to go for the Dagon, but he might not. I have no idea what Tinker is going to buy, as he has the shop at his disposal. 4,000 gold. It's time to commit to something, ZXC. Anything it goes for is going to be wonderful. I think BKB would be solid. No, we have a Yule Scepter into mid. The silence is going to come out late, and the arrow is going to be off the mark. He's still taking a lot of damage from the Exorcism here as the Tinker jumps in. He's going to be globally silenced up. They're looking for the Brewmaster split with the BKB. He's going to be able to do so. The BKB still persists, but he's losing a lot of his minions coming up from the physical damage. The Brewmaster Earth Brilling is the only one landing. Cylinder is going to miss his ultimate completely. Onto Reeves is all the Eye of the Storm as well as the Exorcism still focused down this Earth Panda, and Earth Panda might not survive here. I think he's going to be able to run towards the bottom as the upheaval comes out in mid. They haven't killed anybody, but everybody's looking pretty darn low with the exception of Death Prophet. Nubik does not have his ultimate available. He's silenced up and can't get it off. Now the Tinker's jumping back in. He's going to be forced to blink out immediately in a great fight for xGame, and it's not over yet as ZXC is not in the best position, but they're going to make a turn onto What the Fuck as they jump back in from Afterlife. He doesn't have his ultimate, but he does have the clap, and they're going to put it to good use. His Mantis is going to be brought down. Arrow to fly from Ron and going to miss the buyback from the Warlock. He has his ultimate and might be able to use it. They're looking for the disruption. It is going to cancel the rearm coming out from the Tinker, but Reeves not in a very pretty situation as the laser comes through. He doesn't have enough mana to do much else as they blink forward, and now the clap coming out from Afterlife. xGame overcommit after, I don't know, arguably getting a win, but they wanted too much after getting that Exorcism. They committed everything to that fight, and they won it, which is good. But then after that, they lost their Silencer as well as their Razor. 2 for 2 at the end of the entire trade. xGame, that was a little too hasty. They're still not out of this, but, I mean, they slowed down the bleeding, but now, oh, what a fuck. He's going to get caught out in mid. The arrow is going to land on a creep yet again. This Baron has not hit very many of those. As, well, we're going to see a Bloodstone Tinker. I'm okay with this. Especially with level 3 in the rearm. He's going to be able to constantly get those Scythe of Vice out, and it's going to keep him outside of the base, which is where Sqreen Squad want them to go. After this, he can go for the Dagon and the extra burst damage, and, I don't know, he can just play so aggressively. He wants those kills, and then again, doesn't want to die. He has the Aegis available, so it's not the biggest deal. He's going to drop some marches on the high ground and completely zone out the team. There's nothing they can do. They'll silence him up, throw some vision. They can actually get the Yules to be annoying to the Tinker. He's not going to be able to rearm for a little bit, but they might have just secured their doom. They're going to get an arrow onto Afterlife, which is unfortunate, but the tier 2 tower is going to drop as the Cyrus Mage ultimate. It doesn't really land on much of anything, but Stallcat's caught up by the Scythe of Vice of the Tinker. He's disrupted up from the high ground of the Shadow Demon. Nice defensive play there. He won't be able to leap. There's the leap. As he lasers the wrong target, it is going to be an illusion, unfortunately. The Silencer going to die in mid with the rock onto the ground. Now Reeves also going to be focused down with the Brewlings on him. They won't use the Golems, actually, as the Golems are actually falling pretty low, but there goes a couple of swipes that they need to get the Razor kill. And now the tier 3 tower under some pretty heavy siege, although they're down one Golem. Tinker going to be forced back to base. His Bloodstone still looking pretty good. Only one more charge, and he hasn't died or he lost the Aegis at all. He could TP back into this Golem if he really wanted to, and there you go. They need to be careful. This Death Prophet, despite having Heart, is going to be hexed up as well as Silence. They have enough damage, potentially, if they drop everything onto her, and they are going to do so as Waterfuck. Defensive Disruption will delay things, but it's only going to do that as the Marching Machines gets the kill. ZXC unstoppable here. 10 Bloodstone charges, and now in the backlines, they're going to get another Hex and the Stallcat with the rockets. She is going nowhere. 27 to 14, the kill score. Tier 3 tower is still standing. Sqreen's going to lose his reincarnation, but Tinker still hasn't lost his Aegis, and he might have his Dagon very soon as he TPs into the creep. They're trying to save the creep, tanking the creep aggro, and oh, caught. He gets caught out as the blink forward from Afterlife, as well as ZXC are going to get that kill. Mantis is man fighting for all he's worth, but he has an Aegis on the Tinker. He's going to laser him up. The misses are coming out. He refreshes again. Blink. He's going so aggressively for this, but I think he can actually do this. He's going to lose his Aegis for it, but I think Mantis is just straight up dead. He's linked to those creeps. A couple more auto attacks is all they need. He had the stick charges, and that might save him from now. Tinker is going to be forced to blink out, but I don't know. He's still looking pretty healthy with the Eye of the Storm working out to him. It's not going to be that great. He's dealing a lot of damage, although still only level 2 on the Link. ZXC is going to be just fine, although can't turn and fight anymore. The tier 3 tower is going to fall. Luckily for xGame, they won't lose any of their barracks, but it's only a matter of time until the next set of those Golems are available. And once they have those, I don't see xGame winning a fight convincingly, unless they perfectly time all of their spells. If they're able to keep this Warlock down, he doesn't have a BKB or way to get out of silence, so they need to stop him from getting off his golems and focus him down every team fight. But if they do that, then Tinker is going to have free reign. As well, Tinker, I have no idea what he's going for. He has himself another ultimate orb. It's going to give him some good stats. Other than that, I have no idea. I would have liked to see the Dagon coming up from ZXC, but I think this is a Manta style. More push in those individual lanes. Although you can't have two sets of those illusions out, always having illusions is nice. And despite not having the best damage, 153 base is nothing to scoff at. Or we could be seeing the classic Scotty Tinker, because that's maybe a thing. But honestly, Ultimate Orb on Tinker, I can only think of one item, as he's going for this Death Prophet potentially. I don't know, I would have liked to see something more aggressive. Shiva's Guard if you want to go defensive and get that extra armor up against the physical damage of Eye of the Storm. And Exorcism I think would be a solid choice, if you do want to go for something along those lines. But Ultimate Orb, I don't know, it's okay. Tinker, with 20,000 net worth and the next highest on the enemy team is only at about 10k, you can afford to, try some new things with your item builds. As they jump into mid, they get a concussive shot that is not delayed. Marano going to be able to leap away and actually did not disjoint that Wraithfire Blast. They're committing towards mid with Warlock Golems as well. They can fight this for sure. ZXE going to drop down a March, and Rockets land on nothing as they don't have vision up ground. Rockets are going to come out as a very unopportune pause. Okay, that was puppy pause if ever I did see one. Sec, I need to time my global ultimate. Let's see. But yeah, it is going to come out. That was very awkward. The marches are down on the ground from ZXC, and with the 12 Bloodstone charges, he doesn't really need to go back to base that much, especially if he's not too liberal about going. But oh, they caught out Mantis on the sideline. Sideline Mantis is a dead Mantis as he gets caught out with the Hex. And ZXC back to base. He can buy whatever he wants. Going to drop the Bloodstone inside to buy us back inside his stash. And jumping for Brewmaster, committing, oh, huge jump in for Wraith King. So when Yule sceptered up, but Skullcat caught up by the Tinker. Defense disruption will save him for now, but Sky with Mage ulti is just going to be set up by that disruption. And now melee barracks in mid finally going to fall at 33 minutes, and Sqreen Squad are still looking commanding. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. xGame, they needed something inside their draft that would be able to jump in. Reeves is going to be caught out. Now the double Warlocks are coming in with the upheaval. Although cancelled immediately, it is going to be 3 seconds where that slow is going to persist. Now Wadafaka, I don't see him getting out of here. He might be able to kill Sqreen the first time. He is going to lose his reincarnation, but Wadafaka is so dead with the Ancient Seal onto him, as well as the magic damage. That's a full 5-man wipe in the favor of the Sqreen Squad, losing nothing. It is going to be Manta for the Tinker. I don't think this is going to be any impactful Manta style, but it's decent split push. I only think you go that in a very late game. But Afterlife, he jumps straight into an arrow. It's a very low arrow, and we'll be able to Manta out of that one. So silences aren't going to bug him at all. The Stallcat inside the base is just being right-clicked down by these Manta illusions of the Tinker, and they won't be able to get that kill because the global silence is forced out, but they're going to be just fine. Melee Barracks is going to fall. This is going to be our second lane in the favor of Sqreen Squad. The Hex goes away. Manta is now the Blink Forward from Afterlife, as well as from Sqreen. They're going to be able to chain lock him down. The upheaval comes out and slow down the Mirana. They're not going to be able to chase him down, I don't think, because Tinker doesn't want to go for it, but now with the GG called, there's going to be a laser, and that's going to be our GG. Last kill to round us out as Beyond Godlike comes out for ZXC. Warlocks in the base after Refresher picked up, but that is going to be it from these two teams. The Sqreen Squad pull out a pretty clean 2-0. A solid win for them. They looked really strong in their 2 games, and I don't know, they made Sniper work game 1, and then Warlock in game 2. I'm loving seeing these interesting picks, although xGame, I think their biggest problem is their supporting duo just needs to be a little bit more comfortable working together. The supports in game 1 were different than the ones they ran in game 2, so that might have something to do with it. But yeah, the Shadow Team Mirana wasn't able to do much in the early game. They got away with a Tinker that died once in the entire game, which is really good for a Tinker, especially with the amount of hate that a lot of people put on him in lane. Sqreen Squad were in no rush to win that game, so they didn't have to. As with the Tinker and Warlock, getting up those core items is really easy. Manta style and the Tinker didn't matter because he was just so far ahead in net worth that he stomped everybody. So thank you for watching. That's going to be it for HeflaTV 1 for now. If you want to follow us and like the casting you see here, you can follow us on HeflaTV on Twitter and Facebook, as well as the VODs will be uploaded to youtube.com/HeflaMilk later on today or tomorrow at the latest. So thank you for watching. I've been GrandisV, and we've been HeflaTV, so hope to see you soon. For now, that's going to be it. GrandisV signing out.